Okay, so thank you everyone for joining us today. We are very honored that you've chosen to spend the time with us today. We are very excited to share some strategies for you guys to be growing your visibility, your connections, and some mindset stuff to really show up as the experts that you are. So I am not a Salvatore. I apologize. I am very sick. So my voice sounds I call it my smelly cat voice. So if you have watched Friends, you know what I'm talking about. And so I'll try not to be coughing too much as I'm speaking today, but you might see me muting my microphone as we go. I have some very amazing people with me today. I'm your mindset and business coach. I have three amazing, powerful women with me that have all been guests on my podcast, The Accidental CEO. And I've had the pleasure to learn from them. And I can't wait for you to do the same. I have Bonnie Bakhtiari here. She's going to give you guys a little wave. She's a brand designer and strategist at B is for Bonnie Designs. And she's also a podcast host. Then we're going to have Shannon Vondy, aka Ms. Vondy, who's our email queen, email marketing specialist, and the founder of the email club. Then following Shannon's going to be Katrina Owens, who's our personal brand and publicity expert at Knockout Directive. So super excited for you guys to learn from all these amazing, amazing women. And I'm going to pass the baton to Bonnie. She's going to get us started. And I'll keep just admitting people as they come in.
I love that. Thanks so much for that intro, Nada. And I love how you called that like reference to like Phoebe's smelly cat voice and Friends, like such a stellar reference. And I love that. Y'all, thank you so much again for joining us. I'm so excited to be kicking us off and talking a little bit about creating a client-centered brand that is going to help inspire the connection you're looking for as you pursue that next level of success. So obviously today, you're here to learn about kind of reaching that next season of personal or professional growth. The theme is your business breakthrough. And so whatever that next level of success looks like, I believe that your brand can serve as a vehicle that helps you to reach that next stage. Of course, we could I have been a brand designer and strategist for 12 years now. I could spend my entire day just talking about branding with y'all as it pertains to this specific topic. But I really want to make sure that given the time allotted that I'm able to set you up for success and really help you create a strong foundation for this breakthrough brand of yours. So 3 things that I want to cover with you today are going to be the vision for that breakthrough brand. What is it that you're really pursuing and how are you defining success in this context? The next thing I want to cover with you is really who is this for? So your dream client, who are we trying to reach and how are we trying to help them? And then the third thing we're going to cover is your expert brand positioning. So how can we help you show up as the expert you already are throughout your brand? So let's get into it. So the first thing that I want to cover today is really creating that vision for your breakthrough brand. So this brand that is going to help serve as the vehicle to taking you to that next level. Before we start thinking about what that looks like, before we run over to Pinterest and start creating a beautiful Pinterest board of inspiration, I want you to actually create that crystal clear vision for yourself of what that is going to feel like. So when you have this brand that helps you to reach your next level of professional success, what will that feel like? How will you know that you've made it? How will you recognize that you have reached that point that you're dreaming about right now? And so we do that. We really take that time and energy to figure out internally what that looks like for ourselves because we utilize that information as this strong foundation that will help you, your branding team, anyone that you're really working with and inviting into this journey with you. It'll help you make thoughtful, strategic decisions that are going to propel you towards that next level of success. So some questions that you might want to consider when you're focusing on really honing that vision is, okay, so what is it that I actually want to achieve, right? And one of the reasons why I recommend really focusing on creating that clarity is the kind of brand that is going to serve you well on this journey is going to be completely unique to you, to your business, and to your goals. So it's not really going to serve you all that well from my perspective if you're looking exclusively at what other people are doing. Like, I want for you to be so laser focused on how you're defining success and what it is that you want to achieve that your brand clearly and effectively communicates that. So, thinking about if you are a service provider, let's say you're a photographer and you want to book higher end clients and you want to break into that luxury market, the kind of brand that you will need to do that is going to look quite different. It's going to feel quite different from the kind of brand that someone who wants to position themselves as a thought leader in the industry and who wants to show up and start booking keynote speaking sessions. Their brand is going to look and feel and sound so different from the brand of that high-end service provider. And that's a good thing. We want to have these clearly distinct brands that are really created with those end goals in mind. So some questions to really get you thinking about that. How am I defining success in this specific context? What is it that I'm wanting to pursue? How will I know when I have made it? What are some signifiers? What are some milestones? What are some changes that you might notice in your business, with the clients you're working with your bank account, with your personal life, with your time, with your energy? How will you be able to kind of identify that you're headed in the right direction? So, giving yourself that internal compass, how will I know when I have made it? What will that look like? What will that feel like? And if it helps to think about it in terms of kind of a time frame, you can break it down into, what will this look like a year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now? You can really give yourself that kind of context chronologically. But I want for you to have that foundation in place, because that is then going to help to provide a lot of the context for the decisions that are going to come next. So after you've kind of taken yourself on a date, hopefully you've sat down, you've given yourself the opportunity to dig deep and go inward, I then want you to focus your attention outward and to look externally towards who this is for. So that's going to be your incredible dream client, the wonderful humans that this brand is for. Now, when we are creating brands that are strategically designed to take you to that next level, I find that my clients are able to experience the most success when they focus on creating a brand that is so client-centered that every decision they're making, from color to messaging to how the flow of their website feels, is centered around what will my ideal client love? What will they delight in? What will make them feel valued and seen and heard and like they are the priority of this? Because ultimately, your breakthrough brand that takes you to that next level is going to be more about your ideal client than it is going to be about you. And I say that with a lot of love. And I say that from a standpoint of, when you are wanting to create something that so magnetically captivates the attention of one person, how irresistible is it when you're inviting them into an experience that was literally designed with them in mind? How incredibly exciting is it to invite someone into an experience where their language, their pain points, their struggles are echoed back to them because you did the legwork initially to create from that place? So thinking about, instead of just creating a pretty brand, a beautiful brand, ideally that's going to come later. But first and foremost, we want to understand who this is for and how your brand, this next iteration of it, is going to serve them. So taking some time to really intimately understand who your dream clients are and understanding them more than just the surface, right? Like, we want to know, who are they? What season of life they're in. I want for you to be digging deep into, what are their values? How do they see the world? Are you helping them through something in their personal life or something in their professional life? So what are they believing in? And where are they experiencing some struggles, some pain points? Where is there that friction that they are experiencing, either personally or professionally, that you are going to come in and help them solve? Um, how are they defining success? You know, a minute ago, I was talking about how are you defining success when it comes to your brand? But now you kind of want to point that outwards towards your ideal client and ask, how are they defining success? Because ideally, your work is going to help them achieve that version of success and is going to help them pursue whatever kind of outcome it is that they are dreaming about. So, you know, thinking then, all right, I know that my ideal client is in this place of life. This is where they're struggling. This is where they're wanting to go. Now, your offer gets to be this very genuine and very heartfelt solution that is designed to help them through those pain points on their journey towards success. And again, when we think about creating a client-centered brand that feels magnetic and that feels desirable and feels kind of like that, oof, that like delightful pull, it's easier to do that when you're creating a brand that literally has your ideal client at its core. Because I mean, if you think about the experiences that you've had with businesses and with brands that you've loved, you probably have really had a positive experience with the brands that made you feel like a priority, the ones that made you feel seen and heard and valued. Those are probably the ones that you tell your friends, your family about, that you do business with on a repeat basis, or that you just like want to show up and tell everyone you know about that. And so we can kind of implement a similar approach in your brand in a way that inspires that genuine relational connection with people. And we're doing this, I want to clarify, you know, this is a component of brand strategy. We're doing this to inspire genuine, lasting relationships with your ideal clients and connection that is going to empower you to make the sale, to book that client, and to have that kind of connection. This is something that the intention is to do this from a place of serving. And I believe that selling is serving. And I'm excited for Nata later. She's going to talk us through selling from a place of love. And I think that sometimes in the creative industry, selling can get sort of a like icky or sort of like a bad sort of smarmy rap. And this isn't that. This is creating a brand with your ideal client in mind from a place of genuinely leaving them better than when they first came across your work. And your solution is your service, your offer, your product, whatever it is that you are selling or that you're offering. So once we've kind of turned our attention externally towards who your dream client is, we then want to focus about, okay, we understand more of who they are and how we can help them. So how do we genuinely earn their trust? How do we show up as the expert that we already are in a way where we are connecting and captivating with those people? So, thinking about positioning yourself as the expert that you already are is a lot easier than it might seem, because you don't necessarily need to go out and do all these new things or become a completely different person. At this point in your business, you've had success doing the work that you've been doing. You have had success booking clients. You have proven your business model and you are getting that feedback on your offer or offers. So you know what's working and you know what isn't working or what you don't love to do. So showing up as the expert you already are is this opportunity for you to highlight where you already are equipped to serve your dream client through this incredible breakthrough brand that we are building. So thinking about it through the lens of, what does my brand need to look like, feel like, and sound like in order for my dream client to trust me? And what we're doing there is we're just pulling in the information, the expertise that you already have and communicating it, right? So we're not like stressing about having to like go out and get all these like new certifications or like, you know, do any of these new things, because you already have the expertise. You've been doing this work for months, for years in some cases, and all of that is valid. Now, what we're doing is we're highlighting through your brand how your work offers the transformation that your dream client is looking for. So in learning more about who your dream client is, we've looked at where they're struggling and where they're wanting to go. So then your signature offer or your service comes in and it provides this incredible transformation and gives them that success that they're looking for. So thinking about how your messaging, your visuals, your website, all of these are tools that are going to be a part of your branding toolkit that are going to enforce that sense of trust, that are going to demonstrate your expertise. This is such a fantastic way for you to weave in past client testimonials, case studies, words from incredible real humans who have worked with you and have achieved the outcome that you're wanting to invite more clients or customers into. And this is a great way, as you're positioning yourself as the expert you are, to lean very genuinely on inspiring emotion. So making people feel seen, heard, and valued through your messaging, through your visual identity, through the way you're showing up on social media, through your emails, through your blog content. All of that is fantastic, fantastic content that can help you just really create this memorable brand experience that inspires that sense of connection and inspires that sense of trust of showing people who you are, what you do, how you help them, and how that then can change their life for the better. And like I said a minute ago, case studies, client testimonials, that is one of my favorite ways to do this because you're showcasing how your work has achieved those incredible outcomes for people in the past and how you are able to then come alongside your clients now in the present and do that for them. So when we think about creating a kind of brand that is going to serve as this vehicle that takes you to the next level, I don't want you to feel overwhelmed or think like, oh my gosh, there's so much I need to do in order to do this. I really believe that it is simple in the sense of understanding your vision of success and how you are defining success in this context. Then understanding who it is that you want to serve and how you want to help them through your signature offer. And then showing up within your brand as the expert that your ideal client needs in order to achieve the dream that they are dreaming. And once you are able to kind of really focus on walking through these components, things begin to change and you begin to experience a lot more clarity and I think in a lot of cases more ease and the way that you are talking about your work and the way that you are connecting with people. Actually, the freebie that I'm sharing in today's workshop is designed to help you think through what are some additional next steps. Like as you begin to really master these three components, what are the additional steps that will really meet you where you are on your specific journey and in your specific season of business. So I hope that that is a resource that proves helpful based on your unique goals. But just to recap, want you to be thinking through this vehicle that is going to be your next level brand as something that is going to really help you to reach success on your own terms and whatever that uniquely looks like. How that looks and how that feels for you is going to be as genuine and unique as you are. And then I want you to focus on creating that client-centered brand with your dream client in mind so that you can show up doing the work that you already love and that you already do in a way that helps you to earn the revenue that you want and to have the impact in the industry that you are dreaming about. So I definitely want to answer any questions that come up about this. We definitely have about 30 minutes towards the end to focus on Q&A specifically. But with that being said, I hope that this is helpful.
Thank you so much, Bonnie. I'll just remind myself as you were speaking, I forgot to tell you guys, we're doing the Q&A at the end for the last 30 minutes. You can either save your question, you can start popping them into the chat here, and then I'll kind of keep an eye on it and bring them back when we are ready for some Q&A. You are going to receive a recording of this as well for being here and registering. So keep that in mind as we have Shannon getting ready for her presentation, her part of the presentation. I want you guys to pop in the chat and let us know where are you tuning in from. I want to see where everybody is. I want to make sure you're still paying attention. So write it in there for me. Where are you listening from while I pass on all the baton to Shannon. And I'm going to stop sharing here, Shannon, so you can share your screen. Okay, can we see this? The chat so I can see. Hi, everyone. I see everyone's coming, putting where they are. This is so exciting. They're all over. Y'all are everywhere. I love it. I love it. Okay. We can see this, right? Good. Okay, cool. Awesome. Let me go into present mode here. There we go. Move these guys up here. There's so much stuff on Zoom. Okay. So we're gonna talk today about unboring your emails because I feel like we have thoughts on emails, and I'm going to get into that. So basically, I want to help you create emails that are going to help you get noticed. All right. Do you want to work? There we go. So I know Nada already introduced me, but here's just a brief little story of me. I'm Shannon, aka Mrs. Vondi, the email queen, whatever you want to call me. I feel like I'm like the Khaleesi of names. After sending one email and earning $2,600, I fell in love with email. And now I'm on a mission to bring that you've got mail feeling back to email. I might be dating myself, but I don't know if you remember like running home and like, or at least when I was a kid, I would like run home and check my email and be so excited when it's like, you've got mail. So I want to bring that feeling back to email because I feel like we kind of lost that along the way here. And with my email club membership, I've helped hundreds of business owners discover that email is easy, fun, and extremely profitable. And when I'm not obsessing over emails, which is pretty much always, you can likely find me binging Netflix with my husband, and I'm snuggled up with my two rescue huskies there, Jon Snow and Betty White. All right. So I would love to know if you would drop in the chat for me. Do you have an email list right now? Totally no judgment whatsoever. But I'm just curious where you're at. So you can just put a letter A if you have one and you send relatively regularly. You don't need to be like perfect, but just, you send emails. B, maybe you collect emails and you just don't really email all that often or not really at all. Again, no judgment, just getting a feel for where you're at. And then C, maybe just not yet. Maybe you haven't started an email list yet. Check here and see what we got. I see some B's, A's, B's. Yay. Okay, cool. See, somebody's just starting. No problem. Awesome. I love it. Okay, cool. So keep those coming. If you're still like shy, it's okay. I promise I'm not judging you. I just want to help you to the best of my ability. Okay, so I'm sure you've heard why you need an email list, but I'm just going to give you a really like the key points in my mind. I'm not going to bore you with the stats and all that. You can go look that up or literally watch anything else I've ever done. I will explain it to you. But the key factors are you own your list, right? Which is super great because unlike social, where we're all like kind of fighting for us, to be seen or whatever, like you own your email list. And it's also easier to be seen in email because we're not fighting an algorithm, right? So like, I know a lot of us are struggling with the algorithm right now and just trying to get things seen. I know my stuff's down. I don't usually even pay that much attention to it, but even I've noticed that like story views aren't as high as they used to be and stuff like that, right? But in email, you don't have to fight an algorithm, which is favorite part. And it should also only take you like an hour a week to see results with email. So it's really a better ROI, like a return on your investment and your time. And then the other really fun thing is it's full of your people, right? Literally, people are saying, hi, I love what you have to say. I'm going to get on your email list so you can tell me more, right? They want to be there. They want to hear from you. So it's like a no-brainer to me to like do email because again, it's people who want to hear from you and want to be a part of your world. And the best part of email, it is so much easier to sell because of all these factors. Okay, so maybe you're using email and it's going amazing for you, but you want to make your emails even more memorable. We're going to talk about that in this presentation today. Or maybe you've tried email. This was me for a really long time, is that I tried email and like
it wasn't working for me. Like I just didn't see any results. Or maybe you are kind of seeing some results, but you're just not quite connecting or converting the way you would like to be. I'm going to dive into that today of some reasons you might be having that struggle. You also maybe want to be emailing, but you're just not quite sure what to say. And I have something special for you. It's going to be really good. So it's going to help you overcome that. And then another big reason, I've actually been hearing this one a lot recently, is that like maybe a lot of times you either haven't started a list or you're hesitant to email your list because you don't really like getting emails yourself. Now, there are 3 reasons that I think I hear this. This is my theory on why people say this. So 1, I think you might be thinking of emails from corporations, right? Companies like J.Crew or Old Navy that send you emails every freaking minute of the day. Yeah, that's annoying. We're not going to do that here. That's not what I'm saying we need to do. Another reason that you might be feeling kind of hesitant around email is you're confusing them with cold emails. So we've all gotten that email from that weird bro, right? That's like, your thing sucks. Let me help you make it better. And like, we're not doing that here. Literally, that is not what email should be. And I really hate that that gets associated with email lists because that ain't it. And finally, the biggest reason of all is you're getting boring emails. Right? If you don't like the emails you're getting, you're on some boring email list, my friend. Like, we got to figure this out and get you better emails because email should be fun. Email should be like helpful. Email should be exciting. And if you're bored, and I'm bored in my own inbox, don't get me wrong. Like, I go through my inbox and I'm like, could these emails be more boring? So friends don't let friends send boring emails. So we're going to fix that today. My presentation let me. So why do we want to unboring our emails, right? So the biggest reason, we have 8 seconds. Like literally the stat from Flowdesk came up not all that long ago, I think last week. They actually posted this, that 40% of emails are viewed for 8 seconds or less. So we need to keep our subscribers' attention and stand out in the inbox. Because humans now apparently, humans now apparently have a shorter attention span than goldfish. Like it's bad. So we're going to spice up your emails so that you stand out. So let's do it. If my presentation will let me. Come on, there we go. Okay. So first tip I have for you today is I would suggest not starting every single email you send with, hey name, because we have 8 seconds, right? So this was a thing in 2023. This was a thing in 2022. A lot of my email templates that I give inside my email club membership have hey name at them, and we're working on fixing or changing them over. But because this was the thing, right? We always would say, hey name, blah, 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 right? But if we have 8 seconds to catch somebody's attention, what we really want to do is start our email with a hook. We want to start with something that's going to drag them in. So if I say, hey name, blah, 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 right? Or if I said, like, have you heard that an elephant is pregnant for 21 months? You'd be like, what? Like you'd read more. You'd be like, why are you talking about this? And what is this about? Right? A really good hook is going to drag people into your email. And then, oh wait, I don't want that one. I have this one. Okay, it's fine. Each sentence of your email should help your reader want to read the next sentence. And something I want to say on the hook here is we don't want to reuse our subject lines as our hook, because I was doing this. Again, a lot of things I'm sharing are things I have done. So don't feel bad if you're doing this or it's something like you're just like, oh yeah, I never thought of it that way, because literally this was me. I used to use my subject line as my hook. And then somebody was like, well, I've already read the subject line. And I'm like, great, good point. Good point. So we want to actually have a good hook as our subject line. And then we want a good hook to grab people and bring them into our email and get them excited to want to continue reading our email. And if in doubt, when you're writing your emails, like if you're like, I just don't know what to do, keep it short. Like literally, so many people think they need to put all this extra like lingo into their emails. I think it's because we were like raised, if you were raised, especially in America, I imagine in Canada too, it's similar, that we were raised on these like 5-paragraph essays, right? Of like, you had to have all these, or a word count you had to reach in school. School really kind of messed us up if you think about it. And so we really had to like keep adding words because our teacher wanted us to have 500 words or whatever. In email, no. The less, the better. So, what I kind of think of, and I also, this is weird, but I went to film school, and when you're writing scripts, every single word counts because it's a minute. Like each page is a minute of the movie. So you have to make sure that it is concise and quick and gets to the point. So that's what we want to do in our emails too, because again, we have 8 seconds to keep these people. So if you have something really compelling, like you're telling a really compelling story, your email can absolutely be longer. But you want to make sure it's telling a story. You don't want to just add fluff, because again, you're probably here because you wanted a presentation that doesn't give you a ton of fluff and like just gets into it. People want that in their emails too. Another big one I see happen is you're not being yourself in your emails. So like I'll see people being like so goofy, like dancing on their Instagrams or saying the weirdest things on Threads. And then they come to their email and they're like, hello, I am here to ask you to buy my things. And I'm like, why are you a robot suddenly? Like, why are you just talking to me like a normal human? So what I want to remind you is, remember, you are talking to a human. A human being is on the other side of that screen. I think, and I used to do this too with like, I have this list of strangers and I have to like send them this, like, I don't know what I was thinking. And I think a lot of people do think it of like, just that we have to like really be very professional in our emails and all this kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, you have a human being at the other side. So you want to think about talking to them. And like, these are people who are super interested in what you have to do. So and like what you're doing, what your offers are. So you don't need to be all robotic. You can just talk to them like you're having a conversation or telling a friend a story. Another great tip for your emails is keep it really skimmable. So I'll see sometimes people write sentences and they kind of repeat each other. Like I'm like, well, you kind of already said this. Can we maybe just make it one sentence instead of 2 to 3, kind of like the same sentence 3 times in a row, right? And something we want to think about is in our formatting is that when people are scrolling an email, they are in line for coffee. They're like waiting to pick their kids up. They're at soccer practice, right? They're not sitting there reading every word. So we want to be able to make it skimmable. We want paragraphs that are like 1 to 3 sentences max. Like 3 is maybe even too long. So you want to just think about also on mobile when they're scrolling with their thumb, how that's going to look, because obviously most people are, I think half of my readers read on their phones. And so you want to be sure that it's like not going to be chunks of text that you're scrolling through. Again, unless you have an extremely compelling, like you're telling us crazy story or something and we're like hooked on every word, then okay, that might be a little bit different. But in general, we want to just keep it short and skimmable. Okay. If you want people to click on your emails, you need to make them. So I see a lot of times it's like, click here if you want this, or like maybe a better example would probably be like if you have like a podcast episode you're sharing, right? You might say, hey, here's a really great podcast episode. This person says this and this and this and this. Why are you telling me everything? Like, get me to go to the podcast episode. Don't tell me everything about the podcast episode. Get me intrigued to click, right? So if I said, a friend of mine actually does this really well. She sends an email every week that is just things to click on. And she'll be like, should I get my son this Lego set? That's it. She does not say anything else. She does not say like what it is. And I got to click it because I got to know, is it a cool Lego set? Is it going to be Harry Potter? Like, what is it? So think about how you can kind of make things a little bit more intriguing for people to click on them. Okay. Another great tip is talk in your emails like you are talking to a 3rd grader or lower. Literally, your sentences should be short, easy digest, something a 3rd grader could be like, I could read that and understand it. It also makes it easier for us too. Another great thing, write like you're talking to one person. So this kind of goes back to being that robot, right? We want to talk like we're speaking to just one person. We want them to feel like they are the only person on our email list. So we don't want to say things like, hey, do you all think blah, blah, blah? Like, there's a time and place. I actually was kind of experimenting with saying like, oh, hey, name, to like, they're on this email list, right? But I think that in general, we want to say things like you and you're wanting this and you're feeling this way, and not things like, well, business owners in general feel this way. They don't care. People don't care. They want to know how it affects them. Share stories. So this is like your bread and butter. Share a story. We have a saying in my email club membership that everything is an email, literally everything. I have written emails about going to the bagel shop with my husband. I have written emails about Christmas ornaments. I have written emails about cookies. Like, you can literally write an email about anything. You could talk about brushing your teeth and how you were brushing your teeth and it got you thinking about your smile. And if you're feeling unconfident about your smile, like if you're a photographer, if you're feeling unconfident about your smile in your photos, I've got some tips for you. Check this out. You know what I mean? Like, things like that to try and get people like telling a little bit of a story and then diving into how it relates to you, your business, whatever, what have you. Not all emails need to be sales emails. I think that this often gets overlooked, is that we think we have to be selling or we have to be talking about our business. If you just want to share, like, especially if you're like have a local business, again, like the photographer example, you would share places to go for a date night. If you're not local, you could share ideas, like you went on a really cool date with your husband or partner, or whoever you're with, right? Share that with somebody and tell them like how they could go do it, right? It doesn't all have to be business related. Practice makes perfect. I know we're all hesitant around the word perfect, but what I mean here is essentially the more you email, the better you're going to get at this. So just keep doing it. Like, just keep going, try different things. I'm not going to lie to you. I sent an email last week. It bombed. It is like one of the worst open rates I've had in like years. It happens, right? I tried something different. It is what it is. I learned, okay, my audience isn't into that. I will try something again next week. It's all good. This is one of my favorite things to do is I will just write out my whole email. So I don't think, okay, I need to make this short. I need to make this short. I just write it all out. Just write, especially if you're doing a story, whatever, just write it all out and then go back and take out anything that is not needed, right? So you want to write your whole email and then go back and edit anything else that you do not need. So if you took out one more word, it just wouldn't make sense. And finally, you want to experiment, play, and have fun with your emails, right? So like, don't be scared to try something new, play something, play a game with your people, right? Like, these are all fun things you can do in your email that starts getting people more connected, more interested in you. And you're going to get people like shouting about how excited they are about your emails. Okay, I know I'm kind of at time here, so I can't even remember. Oh yeah, no, we're good. Okay, good, I'm done. So I get what I'm guessing you're thinking at this moment. Let me guess. You're probably thinking, if my slides will work, you're seeing how email could be easy and fun, but you don't know what to say specifically at time. I have a feeling that's probably what a lot of people, that's like the number one thing I hear. But not to worry, I have something for you. We're going to be giving you my free mini e-box, which is going to give you email prompts, subject lines, and list growing graphics. This is something I give to my email club members every single month in my membership. And so you're going to be able to use this and write some emails. So I have the link here, but we're going to also email it to you. So don't worry if you've missed it. And I would love to connect with you as well. You can find me at mrsvondi.vondi on Instagram. I basically live there. And you can also find me at theemailclub.co. So that has been me.
All right. Thank you, Shannon. That was awesome. I know we all can work on our email game at all times. So I appreciate that. We have Katrina next. And I think she has some slides for you guys as well. So I'll keep my...
Okay, Emma. Please. Shannon, it looks so easy to share this. So
Yeah. By the way, when you are moving the slides, they were coming up pretty fast for us, Shannon. I don't know if they're delayed for you, but
On my computer, we're good. People just think I have a mental problem. It's okay.
okay, well, Shannon, you made me very insecure in my email, so going to work on that after we do this. But
I want you to be insecure. You can do it. You'll be fine. You'll be fine.
I need to join your club. But we're going to talk about PR because it is one thing that we, sometimes feel that we're not ready for. Actually, this could be much like email marketing or even developing our brand. I love talking about this with business owners that are, in their first 5 years of business, because they often think that, PR isn't for me yet. And let me tell you something. Public relations transforms my business, and it's not something I ever thought that I would be using for myself. A year ago was when I left my part-time safety net, and I thought I was leaving that job to just become a corporate consultant. So at the time, I had lots of clients that were like large organizations, a lot of time in the medical field, real estate, suits, which is really my vibe. I thought that's what my business has to be like. And I was actually pitching, Vogue magazine, People magazine for some of my clients and secure speaking engagements for the founders. And I didn't realize that it was a tactic I should be using for myself until an opportunity landed literally in my lap. This photo was from last July. It was my very, very first speaking engagement. It was to an audience of just over 200 people. It was my very first one. Unless you count the time I was the ambassador of the fall fair in the small town I grew up in when I was like 14. Maybe that was manifesting some things back then. But this is the opportunity that transformed my entire business. It made me realize that I too can be a speaker. I just have to call myself one. And that is when I started doing my own PR outreach efforts to really grow my brand. So what does PR actually do? Well, it does these two things that are really, really juicy. So first of all, it increases your brand awareness. So we talked a lot about this algorithm on Instagram, on social media, and that algorithm can be hard to manage. So we challenge the algorithm of PR by putting ourselves in front of brand new audiences, which increases our brand recognition, grows our social media following faster, our email list faster, event registrations faster. You're all here because of some good PR. It also increases brand authority. So this is my favorite part because it's where we make more money. But brand authority allows us to build a foundation of media coverage, partnerships, collaborations that increase our credibility. So every time I share and I speak at an event or, have been published in an article or a podcast, I'm guaranteed that I see at least 1 or 2 discovery calls are booked by potential clients. This also allows you to raise your prices without sacrificing your revenue. So we like to charge higher for our services because we're now positioned as experts. So just to give you a little bit more convincing if you need that, when I say PR transformed print business, this is exactly what I mean. This is me being totally transparent with you. This time last year, $12,000 a month. This past May, oh, that's right. Been talking a lot this morning. I just reached $21,000 a monthly revenue. I work far less. I have booked or spoken at booked or completed 8 speaking engagements within the last year, but during the last 15 plus podcasts, and I've grown a following from literally 0 to actually we just hit 1.3, and that's all in 1 year. And that is not because I am special. I'm just really strategic and I'm in love PR. Okay, I'm not being influenced. I'm a thing that I just missed. GGs. Okay, so let's get into it. How do we start using PR to grow our personal brand? So you have 2 opportunities as a personal brand that wants to engage with PR. You can either receive organic PR opportunities, or you can actively pitch yourself to opportunities. So if your brand is, set up and strategically aligned with all the things that Bonnie was mentioning earlier, you are going to receive these organic PR opportunities. And that's how you know you're on the right track. If you're going to actively pitch yourself, it's easier to do this when you already do this. But I'm going to tell you how to do both things because they're both really important, and I love just going full out. So tactics you need to receive. Okay, so this is like social media. You need to have an active social media presence if you want to start getting published. It needs to be in line with your brand values. You need to be speaking to your ideal clients. You need to have a high quality photo and video, and you need to be consistently speaking to the same talking points that you're reinforcing through your brand. So the same things that I would go and talk about in depth on a podcast, I'm always speaking to on my social media channels. I actually met an interior designer at an event that I was at earlier this morning. She was telling me how she really wants to get published and it's really important to her. I asked her, hey, what's your social media? What's your Instagram? And she said, boy, I don't have one. I just kind of use it to talk about things, celebrity gossip with my friends. And I'm like, okay, well, it's going to be really hard to get published if we're not cleaning up that profile and having something that publications and podcasts can defer to once you've pitched them. You also need to have a website. Ideally, that's professional looking, doesn't have to be professionally designed. So there's amazing Squarespace templates out here that can help you build something fast and as that they look amazing. You need to be linking to your previous media business to visually increase your credibility and authority. So as soon as you get even, maybe you even do like a blog spot with someone. As soon as you get those additional links, start adding them. It's good for SEO and it boosts your credibility. Even if you think those opportunities are small right now, you have to start small to be able to get bigger. And most importantly, add a speaker page with the topics outlined that you talk about so visitors know that this is something that you do. Okay, if you want to call yourself a speaker, but you want to speak on stages, well, no one's going to call you a speaker if you're not calling yourself one first. So this is so important, okay? It really is. This speaking on stage is one of your dreaming dreams. That's one thing I want you to leave here today. What can you do to your brand right now to start positioning yourself as a speaker? Because my first opportunity came when I was not positioned as one at all, came through a connection I had made at a networking event. But the only way I was able to leverage that was as soon as I got that content, as soon as I had that one opportunity, I'm like, I'm a speaker now. No one else had to call me it. I just had to own the payoff for myself. And finally, online visibility. So become famous in your own backyard first by attending events, even going for one-on-one coffees, and really let go of what is the ROI of this? What is the ROI of this event? You may not know what the ROI of the event is until 6 months after it's ended. And then someone remembers you or passes your name along. So if you really want to start building this dreamy dream brand, you have to let go of X must equal Y. X equal Y, W, Q, R, S, and it's going to be amazing. And all that contribute to you growing your brand and your business and your awareness, but it's not going to be a direct one-to-one, and that's totally fine. That's why it's so fun. Okay, so you want to proactively pitch opportunities too? Let me tell you where you should start. So podcasts are the most accessible medium for you, regardless of how many followers you have, regardless of your email list size. There are podcasts that want to talk to you and feature you, and this is how you're going to start to perfect your talking points. This is how you're going to start understanding what are the things you're really good about talking about, really passionate about talking about. Local media, also an amazing one for you. If you start making connections with journalists that, talk about lifestyle topics or have featured your competitors, they're always looking for news stories to cover, in the morning news or, in the lifestyle section of the local media, the local newspaper. So really understand to go to people that cover events or businesses like yours and figure out how you can connect with them, whether that's on social media or maybe you do go to the same networking event. And Thailand, which in a lot of speaking opportunities, almost every client that comes to me wants to include this at some point in their career. You need to get clear on your target audience first to ensure your messaging aligns with event goals. So when you see an event that's already planned, so let's use this one for an example. So you saw us pushing this online workshop for experts. We had already decided that we were doing this workshop. Nat had selected us based on our previous relationship. So, I was speaking alone for an at that point, but I'm assuming there wasn't an opportunity for more experts to come in after we started marketing the event. So that's what you see with most of the events out there. If it's already getting promoted, you're probably not going to get squeezed in at the last minute, but it's still important to identify who that event coordinator is so you can start cultivating the relationship. And hopefully next time in the future, they'll ask you to speak. A great example is I mentioned spoke about a couple months ago. The organizer and I had met almost a year ago from that moment, from that event date. And we just stayed in each other's roles on social media until she invited me to speak at one of her events. So this is why, PR at its core is just relationship building. So this is fast and furious, but I just want to give you some good pitch tips. There are some incredible tips in the free resource that you can download after the presentation. And you can always connect with me. I have some really exciting programs coming up where I will actually teach you how to perfect your pitch and I'll look at them for you and help you master the art of that. but there's some actual alignment between pitching and email marketing. But we really want to personalize the creating here. So if you're sending this to your local news station, say it's Fox, you're not saying, "Hey, Fox News," you gotta pick. I'm the journalist that's going to actually be interested in this pitch and pitch them directly and personalize it so they know it's not a mass email. You need to demonstrate interest and attention to their content. So review their previous articles, segments, whatever it is, and really understand if they actually cover the topic that you're pitching on. And then you actually mention it within your pitch. Draw a connection point between their work and yours. So letting them know that you've looked at their previous content and then suggesting how yours relates. Like, "Hey, I know you love to cover the hottest restaurants in Vancouver. Here's mine that's launching in just a couple months. And, here's why we're so special." Clearly articulate the value you would bring to their audience. This is really good for a podcast. So if you're going to want to be featured on a podcast, really articulating your key message. What is the one thing? For me, it's PR for personal brands. I tell a podcast host, "Hey, I'd love to speak on your show. I talk about PR for personal brands, and I give actionable insights on how people can incorporate this into their own business." That's value, and that is a yes. My response rate on my own pitches is about 95%, which is really high. Coming from experience, I've sent thousands of pitches a year per client. This is why I'm really believe important for people to do their own PR, because you can become the master at doing it for yourself. Tell them exactly what opportunity you're looking to secure. So is it a podcast spot? Is it a blog post? Is it an article? You need to tell them and you need to ask. Don't assume that they know exactly what you're asking for. And then don't forget to follow up. So once you've pitched, don't forget to send that additional follow-up just to remind them that, "Hey, I'm interested in this," just in case that they've missed the note in their inbox before. You can also follow up via social media. And just to round this all out, once you've secured the opportunity, these are the 3 things I want to make sure you do with it. I want you to leverage the content. So you got to use it on social media. You need to tell people about the feature that you've secured and create that authority-boosting content to continue to build out your brand's awareness and authority, like we talked about at the beginning. I really want you to share it through your email newsletters, add it to your website's best page, which if you don't have right now, I'm sure you will in a week after this presentation. And then finally, tell me about it. So connect with me on Instagram or LinkedIn if that's more your jam. And I really, any questions or feedback that you want or you were excited about learning more about PR, just connect with me over there. And I'm happy to chat a little bit more. And that's me. I could not see the time, so I hope I didn't run over.
You are fine. Thank you for that. That was great. Really appreciate
you.
that. All right, let me share my screen again. All right, can you guys see everything there? Perfect. So, like I said before, I'm gonna try really hard not to have to stop and cough during this, but no promises. I didn't want to bail on you guys today. You're too important. So here I am powering through. So, we're all here because we own our own businesses and we want it to be better. We want it to learn more. And we most likely sell either a product or a service, right? So again, I'm going to make sure you guys are awake and paying attention. And on the chat, I want you to type for me what word comes to mind when you hear the word salesperson. I would love to know. That's going to be a good one. So let me know what word comes to mind. What is the reflex word that comes to mind when you hear salesperson? Wow, you can use emojis too. That's allowed. Love that. Love that. So, what I want to share with you guys today is this concept of selling from a place of love. My goal is to share some common limiting beliefs around selling and really change the narrative in your head so you can become more confident to make that sale. And, if you look at the chat here, there's really not a lot of positive, first impressions when it comes to selling. So that's what I'm going to try to kind of pivot in your head today. In order to really get into that mindset of making the sale, of booking that client, you really have to take a good look inside. If deep inside you don't really have that belief that you deserve that money because you have maybe some unhealed trauma or some limiting beliefs about money in general, you're just not going to be able to get in that right mindset to earn the money. You cannot outsell your perceived self-worth. That's a very important concept for you to understand if you're trying to sell anything to anybody. So I know you're thinking, not me, Nada. I love money. I want to make that sale for sure. But let's really take a moment here and be real. Do you hear stories about people who have these huge successful sales and think to yourself, well, that's great for them, but that just will never happen to me. Like, I can never sell that much. That amount of money is like crazy, is unrealistic. Maybe you think about they don't work with the same clients that I work, and they don't sell the same stuff. So, you're just brushing it off. And you know that I know that you know that I know that that's just not true. You know, that's just not true. During coaching, I've very often run into what I call subconscious limiting beliefs. I want to go through some of them here when it comes to selling things. And want to see if we can pivot that in your mind and kind of shift the way you're thinking about selling, so you can start selling from a place of love. So your subconscious upper limits are really related to worthiness at the end of the day. If you feel like you're undeserving of anything coming your way, your brain would automatically pump the brakes. Self-sabotaging is a very classic sign of that. Think about how many times you're about to launch that course or go to that meeting that was very important, achieving that very important thing, and you found yourself instead going to do some laundry or go through your closet and get rid of all those things that you should have done a long time ago, and find all these other tasks that are really not important, but you kind of make them important right now because you're unconsciously self-sabotaging. There's some fear behind doing the very important thing. So um if you look at a few of these things, let's read through them here and kind of understand them. So the first thing we see there is the concept that selling is manipulative. So some of you wrote that on the chat here about being pushy, being manipulative when it comes to selling. And really is that concept, that misconception that selling is pushing and dishonest, that you're manipulating people into buying something that they don't need, right? So that's something that we hear very often. The other thing that I hear very often when it comes to limiting beliefs around selling is, there's some self-worth issues in there. So whenever there's self-esteem and confidence issues, they really reflect into your business. There's a very undeniable fact that if you don't believe in yourself, if your clients are just going to see it, they're going to smell it, like we say it. And they start questioning if they should be trusting you and what you're offering. And that's very real. The other thing that's very common is a fear of rejection. So you might come into this interaction worried about being rejected. That's a very common. I hear that a lot about from my clients. You're thinking about maybe the service or the product that you're offering is not good enough, and that can create some barriers when it comes to you asking for that sale at the end of the interaction. You might also think that people only care about price, that they're just worried about how much money they're going to spend. They don't want to look at the quality and the value of the product, and you ended up undervaluing your product and offering a huge discount when at the end of the day that's not the direction you should be going. And then the last thing I have in there is very difficult to sell in this market. That's a very common thing that we hear all the time. That has been said every day of every year in every market since the beginning of our times. So you can hear that everywhere. It doesn't necessarily mean it's the case. Again, that's just a limiting belief around selling. So type in there for me, how many of these 5 have you at least experienced, seen around when it comes to the selling situation? How many of these kind of resonate with you, or have you kind of gone through it before? Perfect. Yeah. So what does this journey look like of working on these limiting beliefs and kind of helping to transform and reframe them in your head? So first thing is acknowledging that they're happening, that they're part of your sales process. I invite you to take some time to really reflect and think about the way that you're selling your product. What is the language that you're using when you're presenting your services and your product? What is the tone of the conversation? Are you maybe self-sabotaging by using certain words or actions when you're selling? For example, you could be finding yourself lowering your voice a little bit when you're presenting those low, those high ticket offers. And maybe you're kind of rushing through it, your high ticket selling products, because you believe that the price is too high and you don't want to scare your client. Um, Maybe you're making jokes about the price because it's kind of feeling uncomfortable. Maybe you're jumping into filling the silence because you think your client is just thinking about how expensive this is, and they're actually just processing the information that you just gave them. So start thinking about what part of your selling process maybe these limiting beliefs are kind of, infiltrating in there and kind of taking over. I recommend you record a sales call or an interaction that you have with your client, so you can go back and kind of analyze that and have, it's always good to be able to hear yourself and see yourself selling, because those are things that we do unconsciously. We're not thinking about it. So definitely something to think about. The next thing is analyzing where this limiting belief is coming from. It's the way that you've been raised. A lot of us heard that money doesn't grow on trees, kind of saying, in that salespeople are pushy. You guys are writing in there, they're manipulative. So we have all those things in the back of our minds. And at the same time, we have to present ourselves as somebody selling something. So that can be really hard to overcome. So maybe you grew up struggling, maybe you didn't have enough food or resources growing up, and it's really hard for you to now ask for somebody to spend money on an item that your former brain thought was completely unnecessary, or something that is more like luxury based, right? So I know I had to work through that myself. I came here a few years ago with $30 in my pocket to go through college. Now I have a lot of successful businesses and I sell high ticket items, and I had to work really hard to change my own mindset on it is okay to charge that price to sell this item, because I am offering a solution. I am selling from a place of love. So the good news is, these are things that can be practiced. You can reframe those thoughts. It's just like learning how to run, or, how to ride a bike. It's definitely not easy, but it's something that if you practice, it's definitely something you can accomplish. So that's the good news about all of that. So let's try to reframe some of these things here that we talked about as limiting beliefs around selling. So the first thing is the thought process of selling is manipulative. When you sell from a place of love, there's no room for manipulation or for being pushy. You are going to start seeing selling as something that you do for your client and not something that you do to your client. That's a very important concept. Selling is something you do for your client, not something you do to your client. When people feel, your confidence and you believe that you are doing something good for them, that your offer is something genuine that's going to help them with their problem, they would gladly give you thousands of dollars and say thank you for it. Like, I have witnessed that, and I'm sure many of you have had in the past. So, start that conversation by asking some questions to genuinely understand the customer needs. What is it that you can do to help them? And yes, you're getting money and you're benefiting from it, but if you're offering a solution to the problem they have, most people are more than happy to give you their money in exchange for the solution to that problem. Like, they don't want to take that problem back home. They would gladly leave it with you in exchange for some of their money. So be that person for them that is offering that solution, that is offering that help, and again, coming from a place of love. That fear of rejection is a big one, that stems from that desire to be liked, and you want to avoid failure. The big thing here to pivot this kind of thought process is stop looking at yourself. Like, we're very selfish beings and we're worried about what we are feeling and what's happening to us. And at the end of the day, you have to change the perspective here. So there's a person on the other side of this interaction, of this selling process, who's probably also worried about being rejected. Like maybe they're worried that they're not going to be good enough to work with you. Maybe they're worried that, you're not going to try to sell to them. So if you're coming in out of the interaction and you're not saying, I would like to sell you this product, I would like to work with you, I would like to offer you this service, then what kind of message are you sending to that client? Imagine if you walk into a car dealership, you're going to buy this car. You walk in there and you connect with the salesperson, and they show you all these cars, you tell them what you want to buy, and they finish showing everything, and then they looked at you and said, okay, bye, have a great day. You'd be like, what just happened here? You'd be confused. I will be furious. I'll be offended. I'll be thinking like, why am I not good enough to buy your car? Like, why didn't you try to sell me a car? You don't think I have money to buy your car? It's like Pretty Woman all over again, right? So change that perspective and consider that your client's point of view in the selling process, it becomes a no-brainer. Like that fear of rejection goes out the window. You have, this no's that they're getting just bring you a little bit closer to each yes, and you start seeing those things as feedback. You want to make sure that you learn from every interaction. So it's just switching your perspective there. The self-worth issue, very often we give people permission to determine our self-worth for us, which a big mistake, in my opinion. Like you wouldn't come to somebody that you barely know, or even somebody you know, and give them all the passwords to all your accounts, all your bank accounts, and be like, all right, you determine how much money I should have and what kind of lifestyle I should live. That would be a terrible thing to do. So why would you allow somebody else outside of yourself to determine your self-worth? It's too much of an important thing to give as a job to somebody else. That should be yours to keep. It's your job to determine that, yours alone, based on, just your internal self-worth and your values. And we should not be allowing other people to do that. Understand that you're offering some valuable solutions to that client and that your work is important and you deserve what is coming from this selling process. That concept of people only care about price, again, stop spending your client's money for them. Sometimes we're not our own ideal client, and that's okay. But you need to learn to step outside of that, separate yourself from that person that you're trying to work with. It's your job to help that client kind of see the value, connect it to the problem that they need solved. Every client has a slightly different problem that they want to solve. And if you don't take the time to really understand and connect that for them, the value will be lost. You need to be asking those open-ended questions, listening with intent, which is not an easy thing to do. We often listen in kind of partially because we're too worried about what are we going to be saying next. So we're not really paying attention to what other person's saying. And that really affects, your ability to sell from a place of love. You are, a lot of what we sell are emotional purchases, those luxury items, those high-end tickets, the experience. And if you don't really create this space for that connection between the value of what they're offering and the value of that person, there's no way that sale is going to happen at the end of the day. So really taking the time to understand what your client needs and connect what you're offering. Then the last one here is like, it's too difficult to sell. It's very easy to blame it on economy. It's the easy way out. But how many times have we heard or said that our market is saturated? I mean, we hear it all the time. We all heard it. That gets repeated all the time. We had people thriving anyways. We have some businesses that were closing during COVID, and we have some businesses that were making 6 figures or more. How can that be possible? At the end of the day, it's our job to identify those opportunities to really help our clients make that connection with the value of what we're offering, include some creativity in there, maybe come up with an offer that they didn't even think they need or they wanted. Just because you're listening to what they have as a problem, you're listening to what you can provide, and you combining that with some innovation, you can really create these opportunities to be selling in any saturated market. Here's some quick strategies of how you can implement those things that I was just talking about. So number one is education. Obviously, understanding the selling process, getting some skills around sales is very important. Coaching is a big one on this one. I feel like we all are a little bit different. So one-on-one coaching is a big one when it comes to understanding how to sell a product. Visualization is a proven technique that helps. If you visualize yourself doing well in that sale, having a positive outcome, it's always helpful. Affirmations is something that a lot of people use. They're great to help build that self-confidence. Practice. Get together with somebody else that have to sell products as well. Practice on each other. Do some role playing. The more you say the words, the more comfortable you're going to be, and the more you're going to understand. Especially practicing that intentional listening skill is very important. Mindfulness, understanding how to be present with your clients when you're selling and how to connect with them and try to really solve their problem. Building a good community around you of people that also have to sell things, entrepreneurs that really can support you and offer some tips. And really celebrating your wins. Like I was really bad at that. I had to teach myself to celebrate small wins and not undervalue those because they help you build your confidence and they help your brain give you the skills to continue to repeat those things and be successful. So at the end of the day, money is good. And if you look at selling from as being a problem-solving skill and you really show up claiming that value of your worthiness and remembering that you are there to help your client, you're going to be a lot more successful and feel a lot more comfortable selling to your clients. Would love to connect with you guys too. I'm on accidentalceo.co on Instagram. That was just a little tip for you guys to really try to get you more excited about selling. It's definitely beneficial. It's something that I feel like we can all get better at. It's something you have to practice, and we are excited that you all came here and share your time with us today. So we're gonna give a few minutes for some Q&A here and see if we can help you guys clarify anything that we talked about, and then we'll let you go. So just feel free to unmute yourself and ask a question, or you can type it on the chat there. I'll keep an eye on it for us as well. All right, for Katrina, how long should we wait to follow up after a pitch, and how many times is too many?
Okay, I love this question because there's lots of controversial advice out there. So I always say follow up 7 days after. So and not like 7 business days, like 1 week. So if you pitched on a Tuesday, follow up on a following Tuesday. Of course, like if life happens, you can wait a little bit longer, but just so you're top of mind, I would really try and focus on like the 1 week apart. Some people might tell you sooner, but think about yourself when you receive emails. Especially when it's someone requesting something or even maybe a sales pitch. Like if for me, I'm probably not responding to the email I got on a Tuesday until at least maybe the Thursday or the Friday. So following up within that same week, not amazing. Especially when you think about smaller media. Try iPass, for example, even event coordinators wanting to reach out and form those more genuine connections. Obviously, with traditional press, you can be a bit faster because of time-sensitive events. Sometimes we keep that shorter, so it can depend. But my general rule of thumb is 1 week. And then I usually say follow up 1 to 2 times after, and then if they're not responding after that, like get it. I've heard bad advice on a podcast where they said you could follow up 5 times. Certainly don't do that. If it's an opportunity that you really want, maybe if you haven't ever happened, choose wait a full quarter or wait 6 months and then try again. Put some reading room behind it. Yeah, Shannon says, these people will email me once and never follow up. Yes, if you don't follow up, you're actually missing an amazing opportunity. So many of my pitches are secure on a follow-up. Because people are bad. I read stuff and don't respond all the time. It's one of my toxic traits. So other people have this too. And then I see another question. Any resources on what to charge for teaching? What's the industry standard? So this is all over the map. That will depend based on your experience. Have you ever spoken at less before? Have you done professional training? At the end of the day, much like Nada was talking about, a lot of this comes from your own perceived value. So how much value do you think you're delivering to this 30-minute presentation? If you're just getting started with speaking, you're probably going to speak a lot for free in the beginning, and that's okay. You got to build up a speaker reel. You might have the testimonials to show for it. But as you are pitching yourself to a more corporate audience, which is where a lot of the money is, you definitely know what to have that experience to back it up, because someone's going to take that to their HR department or their boss to approve it. So yeah, that's not a great answer to the question, but it depends. It really depends. There is no industry standard, unfortunately. Even if you're pitching yourself to masterminds or these online spaces, which is really popular too, it will really depend on your skills team. So I like to think about pricing, much like Nada's talking about in her presentation, like it comes from you. How you price your offers, your speaking gigs, whatever, like that is your own self-worth and your own perceived values. So it's got to start from there. And this was actually at the tail end of me just getting my ass kicked by a mentor told me I just priced something too low. So we hold in there. That comes from self-worth. And Denise, how about 40%? Love it. Okay, so the question, did I add it myself? Personal brand that is distinct but carrying the business. So we call out our personal brand as, okay, this is us. This is, I have my unique qualities that maybe aren't reflected in my company's branding. Maybe our pillars, our values, and our mission are different. But I choose to position myself as someone who leads the ship as this founder, CEO. So my friends might use the word in its messaging. They might use a similar tone of voice. Visually, we don't need to similar so much to the bottom of this property earlier, just because I know Denise is just messy to bring it back about this. I'm not thinking that Denise has to have like red and black personal branding that's bold on her speed and like showing up like the way that her business does. I think it's more about letting your phone. Denise is that hilarious improv comedian for those who don't know. I'm sorry, this was so bad. Letting your own sense of humor and comedy shine through on your feed is going to be the thing that attracts people to you, and then they're going to want to see you in your shows. So I think that's your unique opportunity. Like now you can use your own personal platforms for really like talk about the things that you feel passionate about that maybe some of your business partners or like the IT business is like, oh, it doesn't really fit on our brand, it's too curly, or tell them aren't hard on it. Doesn't really sell on your target audience of the person. I hope that helps.
Yeah, thank you, Katrina. Bonnie, I have a question for you. So once you find your ideal client, you kind of define that, where should you look to figure out where that person hangs out so you can be in front of them more often? Is there like a good way to kind of figure it out where your ideal client is so you can be in front of them more often?
Yeah, I love that question. I am a huge fan of interviewing your ideal client. So actually going out into the world and connecting with the living, breathing humans that you are going to serve. So we can sit here and we can like hypothesize until we just completely run out of time. We can sit here and guess about like where these people are hanging out, but hearing from them directly, getting that feedback from them directly is going to be so incredibly valuable because it is going to be completely accurate. So what I recommend is like creating a list of at least 5, maybe 10 people that match your ideal client profile. If you don't have a list of past clients you've worked with that match that profile, or, maybe industry colleagues, connections, people from like a past position you held, a great way to do this is to go to your personal community, your personal connections, friends, families, people that you know from past positions, people that you went to school with, people that you know from your gym, your comedy club, wherever. Go and ask them, hey, I am wanting to create this offer. I'm wanting to level up my brand to reach this very specific kind of person. Do you know anyone that matches that profile? Do you know any person that, is in this certain age range, that is, in a certain season of life, that is wanting to experience a certain outcome. So once you identify those people and you secure those connections, ask them, hey, do you have time to have a 15-minute, a 20-minute phone call, coffee chat, could be a Zoom or like a Google Meets kind of video call. And the goal there is just research, essentially. You're asking them questions and getting their words directly to understand, like, where are you in your season of life or business? What are you struggling with? Like, how are you defining success? What decisions are you weighing when you're making a big investment for your life or for your business? Like, what are you prioritizing when it comes to convenience, price, ease, things like that? And then, that's also a great opportunity to ask, like, where are you spending your time online? Like, if you're going to hire a coach, if you're going to hire a photographer, where are you going to find them? Is it like straight to TikTok? Is it Instagram? Is it Google? Is it you're like texting, like the group chat, like asking your friends directly? That can be a really easy way to find that out specifically. And so I highly, highly recommend going to the humans and asking them the questions of where they're spending time online, because you might be surprised by the answer. In the past, I've done, interviews with ideal clients, and what I assumed was actually not what the case was. That was not the feedback I was getting. And so then that is feedback that I can utilize to inform my decisions moving forward of how I'm tailoring my marketing and how I'm showing up and how I'm connecting with those people. So yeah, that's a great question.
Perfect. Shannon, I have a question for you because I'm the question asker here. Since nobody else is popping in there.
Do it.
So if you use email to sell a product or a service, you talked about those nurturing emails versus a sales email. What is the recommended ratio of how many times you should nurture somebody before you try to sell to them? And is there like maybe a sequence that you should follow of like these many nurturing emails, a sales email, this many nurturing email, a sales email? So talk to us about that.
Okay, I love this question because I feel like it comes up a lot. I'll tell you straight up, there is no magic formula. So like, I think a lot of people think there's some magic number that will mean if you send, it's like the same thing on Instagram, right? You can't just post 3 posts and then the 4th one you're going to sell, right? Like it's like any other marketing platform that it doesn't quite work like that. What I suggest doing is finding something that works for you and your audience. So you may need to test different things, and you also may need to think about the offer you have, right? So if you have an offer that is a higher ticket offer, in theory, people are going to need more touch points before they're ready to purchase. So you probably need more emails or more nurturing until they're going to be ready to make that purchase. Whereas if you have something that's $27, they may only need an email or 2 before they're going to be ready to buy, because it's not a huge investment commitment for them. But I think that all goes hand in hand in that we just need to continually show up. And if you're looking for something that you can kind of just start on, I would recommend doing something like 2 to 3 emails and then a sell or something like that for your first cadence, and see how that works for you and see what happens, see what people do. Another factor is going to be how warm your audience is too, because if you maybe haven't emailed them in 6 months, they may need some warming up, or sometimes it's the opposite, right? Like it really just depends on your people. But I think that that's a decent cadence to start you with. So I like maybe once a month have a good sales email, and then the rest could be your nurture if you're doing, an email a week. But again, there's no, unfortunately, I wish there was a way I could just be like, do this and you'll make millions of dollars, but I'm not going to lie to you.
Oh, that's great. Well, thank you, everybody. I don't see any more questions popping up there unless somebody wants to unmute and ask a question. I think
I have one question for Shannon.
yes.
Does the time and the day really matter when you're sending emails? Like, I've noticed a thing with this, but Flowdesk likes to suggest some weird times when you tell them to, like, tell me when to send this. It's like 5 a.m. I'm like, is that real? So, like, what's your take?
Yeah. So, I mean, they personally, like Flowdesk themselves, have done a lot of research on that, but I find it's whatever you train your audience for. So if you're, especially if you're talking like a regular weekly email or something like that, like I could probably even, I don't know if my people are still here, but I could probably even say like, when do I send my emails? And literally everyone would know. So like, because I send them at Fridays at 8 a.m., like that's my time, right? So I just chose that and people know. The thing about those things that tell you suggested, especially in Flowdesk, it's like, I'm not quite sure if they're using their own data or the emails you have sent. So if you've only sent emails at 5 a.m., what are they basing it on? You know what I mean? So the short answer is no. I don't think there is a like perfect time or anything like that. I think you should think about your audience, right? So like, for instance, I always say this, if you like work with wedding pros, sending them emails on Fridays or on Monday morning is probably a bad idea because they work over the weekend, right? So they're still catching up. So like midweek would probably be better. But if you work with busy moms, right, like they may be sitting on their phones Sunday nights, you know what I mean? Like waiting for the school day to start, or, you know, Sunday series or whatever, right? So I think it's just kind of thinking about what works best for your audience. But at the end of the day, just telling them when to expect it and sticking to that schedule will probably work the best. Does that help?
Yeah, that's helpful. I need to get on my email train a little bit more. So.
Love that.
You got this.
See, we're all learning. We're always learning from each other, no matter how much you
I
think
know. I'm like, I need to
people
get on
know.
PR train though.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you guys for spending this hour and a half with us. We appreciate your time. You had some great questions. We're going to be sending a follow-up with all of our freebies and this recording, so you can take advantage of that if you would like. And we really appreciate you and hope maybe we'll do the next one and we'll see you then. So bye guys. Thank you.